The obvious answer is that the ocean would just dilute the milk. But what if we poured a lot into it? What if we somehow replaced all the water with milk? Would our bones be super strong? Would the density of the milk allow for tsunamis? How far empty would we have drunk the ocean at this point? Could we surf in the milk ocean? Would we call them something different? Like the lactocean? Does milk oceans make the world a giant bowl of trash and human cereal? Are the humans the bran flakes and the trash the marshmallow? Or is it the other way around? Also, how much milk is there compared to ocean water? How long does it take to make an ocean's worth of milk? There are 352 quintillion, 670 quadrillion gallons of water in the oceans. There are 1.5 billion cows in the world. That's 235 billion, 113,333,334 gallons per cow. On average, a cow makes 8 gallons a day. That would take 29,389,166,667 days. 80,518,285 years to fill the entire ocean with milk. Would people create a really complex strategy? I imagine people reviewing each opponent's footage from the last game and performing math calculations to figure out the probabilities. If that was the case, the Olympic medalists would probably be statisticians rather than super athletic people. Athletes. The name is athletes, dude. I can imagine specified gloves being made to maximize speed and tensile strength in fingers to have a quicker action and a more professional-looking move. I'm just trying to think how this game could be rigged. They could train the athletes to have intense response time so that they can see things in slow motion and could see what the person was dishing out and react in less than a second. But then we would have slow motion cameras zooming in on a rock, paper, scissors match. Then we would have it in Olympic video games and school festivals. There would be $1 million gyms to train people in rock, paper, scissors. Plus, you know there would be those elitist people with scholarships at big colleges who insist on calling it Rochambeau. It feels like the plot of an anime with intense cuts and explosions in the background, and the spectators getting blown backwards from the sheer force of two people going on tying for 5 hours of intense Rochambeau. Forget milk, what about lava? There's an internet article about this topic that I found from my research, and it basically confirms that we would all die immediately. The hot oceans would make the air so hot that it would burn everything on land. All of the plants would be caught on fire just from the air. It would even create massive strings of storms. But I like to imagine that we would make surfboards of obsidian, and competitive surfing would look like the final fight from Revenge of the Sith. All of the fish would either die or mutate into awesome lava fish. One day you're just obsidian surfing like normal, and then boom, lava shark. It would change the plot of so many movies, like Jaws or Baywatch, or about any beach episode of any TV show. If birds are dominant, logic would dictate that there wouldn't be a need for roads or cars since they could fly everywhere. But I think that, like humans, they would develop to be so lazy that they would still build other forms of transportation to move around. I think that a bird on a motorcycle would be an entertaining thought. Just going through the streets at max speed and it zooms in and it's just a bird chilling there. Would birds build buildings? Would they build elevators or stairs? Would apartments just be massive trees with a bunch of nests in them? How would they fight wars? Would they put the guns in their mouths? Would they have an air force? And to a bird, is a jet the same thing as a mech suit is to us humans? Just a badass robot body to be in. Would birds have superheroes? Because imagine there being Batbird or Spider-Bird just swinging around instead of flying for no reason. Plus, flying wouldn't even be a superpower, so what's the impressive thing for people to have? They can't punch, and kicking seems inefficient, so would they just flap their wings as a super move? Would the ground start to degrade and melt? Could we get snowburn and there be snowburn lotion? I wonder what snowballs would be like if they were hot. Would it be like a fireball? Would snowballs be considered lethal weapons? If you're standing in the middle of a tundra, would you be wearing beachwear because it's too hot? I think that avalanches would just end up melting things to ash. You know that thing where you put your tongue out to taste a snowflake? It would hurt like hell, wouldn't it? The snowmen that would be made would just radiate heat, and if anyone bumped into one, it might burn like metal in the summer. In fact, if snow was hot, then I can imagine Luke Skywalker hiding in snow to warm himself up from the cold Tauntaun. I had this thought while playing Minecraft. I always see people building houses out of wood, but stone is extremely easy to get and there's no risk of having a house burn. Then I realized, if we built things out of stone or concrete exclusively, there would be way less deforestation and way less fires. Plus, stone can be way firmer than wood, and there's way more rock on the planet. Than wood, mainly since most of the planet itself is, rock. Plus, you can't really reform wood, at least not as easily as rock, where you can just melt it down. I know most buildings are already made of concrete, but I'm talking about more. More concrete, less wood. Get rid of all the wood. It's not like it serves any purpose beyond being a renewable source of shelter and heat and crafting materials. Come on, what have trees ever done for us? I understand that red flows into orange and yada yada yada, so I'm not asking why the colors are in the order they are, I'm just asking why it starts with red and ends in orange. Like, why doesn't it start with blue and end in green, or start with yellow and end in orange? What's so special about red and purple that they get to be on the top and bottom? If there is no up in space, then why do we envision things the way we do? Why aren't the globes upside down? North would still be north, except it's pointing down instead of how we imagine it going up. Also, we imagine the Earth spinning around, but if we just shift our view, the planet could be rolling. Also, why don't we imagine the planets going over and under the sun? The solar system can totally be vertical instead of horizontal. The solar system would look like a giant wheel, and we would all be spinning on the unicycle of the cosmos. There is no reason the alphabet has to be in the order that it is. No letters are dictated on the ones that come before it. Imagine an entire class of kindergartners singing the song X, Q, B, Y, T, L, J, O, F, C, K, R, T, S, U, A, E, D, M, V, B, N, W, I, G, Z, and H. Now I know my XQBs. Why did I write this stupid song when I can't sing? I love the sight of people getting scared at random stuff. It's one of the most common videos on the internet besides cats and videos that YouTube doesn't pay. But what if when we grow up over a certain age, our brains click, and then any kids show would trigger our brains like horror movies? We'll have nightmares about the Teletubbies or Blue from Blue's Clues running down the street at us. I mean, some people may already have nightmares about children's shows, and that someone totally isn't me, but I'm talking about everyone. We would have a million reboots of Wonder Pets like we do with Halloween. We would have Jordan Peele-produced Rugrats that would also be a commentary on racism. People would walk through the streets on Halloween dressed as Discount SpongeBob and Arthur the Aardvark. And then there's the walrus from Pingu, which is an actual horror movie creature. I imagine that people might be a bit more cautious on Reddit if it didn't have the anonymity. It might end up in people running into each other at the park and ending in a 5-hour argument over a random movie fact where both of them misunderstand what the other is saying. Subreddits would slowly turn into school lunches, with different clumps of people having individual conversations and random people greeting each other with a slight nod because they don't know each other that well. This is one that I find very entertaining, as a third-person view would perpetually mess up life. So many people might focus on their hairstyle on the back of their heads, rather than the makeup on their face. If that was the case, why would we have eyes? Would our faces just be blank? Or would we just decorate eyes like accessories because they serve no purpose? Would we color our eyes in a variety of colors just to seem cool? Who knows? It's not like eyes are aesthetically pleasing anyway. How would we play sports? Would we have to lean our heads around to try and see the ball? How would soldiers fight in the military? Would scopes actually work? Or would they have to hold the scope super far behind them where their eyesight is? In fact, you would have to do that with most videos or cameras. Just hold the phone behind your head because that's the only way you can see.